Hi everyone, it's Mandy. It has been so long since I've recorded a video and I've missed recording videos for you guys, but I have been busy trying to sell houses just like you. And today I decided that I was going to set some time aside to kind of check in with you to see how you guys are doing. Feel free to drop me a comment below and just kind of tell you some wacky lead generation stories. Leads that I had been communicating with and that kind of came to a head here this past year with our situations and just kind of let you know, it's a crazy market right now. We all know that interest rates are high, inventory has soared, there's low motivation on both sides, buyers and sellers. And if you listen to the news, it's doom and gloom, but yet there are sales being made. I know I'm selling houses more than last year, not as many as I want to, but you just got to go get the business. You got to go find the business, and then you got to really try to make it come together so that you get to that closing table. But I thought I would share with you a couple of kind of rejection stories from this year so that you don't feel alone. I know that when I hear about other people having failures, like it kind of gives me a sense of camaraderie, like, okay, we're in this together, and just it gives you a sense of comfort in a way. But so I'll tell you about like three different leads that I had been working with and trying to work with, I should say, over the past couple of years, and tell you how they kind of unfolded, the stories unfolded with them. But I had one lead that I had been chasing, because that's what we did, we chase, right? Since 2023. It was an expired, and they made contact, and they were very nice, but very succinct with me. We are not selling, but I will be in a year. This was in 2023. So I'm like, great. Well, I'll be following up gradually until 2024 when they'll be ready to go. So they were always picking up my call when I called, which is always an encouraging sign. And then we ended up scheduling two different listing appointments in 2024. They were consistently reading my newsletter as well. I got their email address. I had them on my monthly newsletter. So there was some engagement there. Scheduled an appointment. I think it was the first part of 2024. They later canceled it. I'll be traveling. Schedules are not going to match up, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So then they rescheduled another part of 2024, and then they ended up canceling then and said, you know what, we'll be ready to go next year in the spring of 2025. I'm like, great, awesome. January of 2025 rolls around and I get an urgent call. We're ready. We're ready. I'm like, oh, awesome. It's happening. It's happening. I've been communicating for almost a year and a half at this point. My partner and myself, we go in for the pitch. In case you haven't been listening to my channel, I'm still working part-time due to personal reasons. I've been selling since about early 2023, and I'm still working with a seasoned agent so that I can learn, and also when I'm not available that they can step in. So we went in for the pitch in January of this past year. During the pitch, we were told, you know what, we're not going to be ready until September. So we're like, okay, wait a minute. Canceled twice. We're sitting here in front of you. Grateful to be in front of you, by the way, because that's what we all want. But we're 9 months out from actually listing the home for sale. We were like, okay, that's fine. We'll see what happens in the spring market and we'll plan accordingly. So this was January. In March, I just kind of checked in to see if we're still on schedule for September, and was told that the sale date had been moved up, probably looking to sell around June or July. I was like, oh, that's great. And they didn't want to sign in January. We had the paperwork ready, but they didn't want to sign, and we didn't want to be too pushy, seeing how they were 9 months out. But we definitely had a good rapport with them, for sure. I had built a rapport kind of over the telephone and email over the year prior to sitting in front of them, and I thought that my partner and I really solidified that in person. In March, they're like, yeah, we're definitely going to sell. Great. I think I also checked in, it was in April, and again, no paperwork had been sent, and they said, you know what, the listing is yours. We'll be ready to go. So perfect. So our plan was basically to send the paperwork. We should have sent it then. Mistake number one. When they say it's yours, you send the paperwork immediately, right? Didn't do that. So I checked in a few weeks after that, and I was like, okay, so this is when we're going to be listing the home, blah, blah, blah. I get a text message back at like 11:30 at night saying, and again, this is after I was told, or we were told, that we had the listing, and the text said, Hey, good to hear from you. Sorry, we decided to go into in another direction. Wishing you all the best. And my partner and I were like, What happened?" So we needed a little bit more. I mean, we felt we deserved a little bit more. I mean, I literally have been chasing the seller for 2 years. We'd met in person. We were told that we had it and everything, and all of a sudden now they're going another direction. So they come back with somebody had sold a home in their neighborhood, and I guess they met that agent then, and da 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 da, and that was it. So we had the listing, kind of, sort of, and then we didn't have the listing. And what that really taught me is that, and I say this all the time on the channel, and I try to repeat it to myself as my mantra: volume equals victory. You cannot hang your hat on one seller, and obviously I wasn't doing that, but they don't care if they tell you you have a listing and then they pull it from you. They don't care. For whatever reason, they saw value in somebody else, even though we demonstrated a lot of value at that listing appointment. They saw that these people had sold a house on their street, I think it was, and they were like, "We're pivoting." And we were left out in the cold, and I was just like, wow, it hurt. It really stung. And also the way we were told. Apparently, when I reached out with that text message and I got an 11:30 p.m. response, at that point they had been working with this new agent for a month. A month. And we were not even told about that. They had met with them, they had done an inspection. They never even said that. And all along we thought we had this listing. They don't care, guys. They just don't care. And I know we get a lot of a bad rap. There's a lot of bad agents out there. I get it. But there's a lot of clients and sellers and buyers that they don't care about your time either. They don't care. I mean, they don't owe us anything. Let me be clear. They don't owe us anything. But I think in that instance, it would have been nice, instead of just a short text message almost at midnight saying we went another direction, it would have been nice to at least pick up the phone and offer a thoughtful explanation as to why the direction had changed. But they don't care. They just don't. And that's why being detached from the outcome is something that I hear from seasoned agents all the time, and why it makes so much sense. Because if you get emotional and you care more than they do, you lose. So you need to be pursuing all kinds of leads every single day, because you never know which ones are going to make it to the closing table. Most of them, 95% at least, if not more, are not going to make it there. And this was a huge disappointment for me. I was really excited about working with these sellers, and it just didn't happen. And they didn't care. They didn't care. So that's that. Then there was another seller. This one I wasn't as invested with, but we had been communicating for a few months. They're going back and forth between renting and selling, and we had made contact earlier this year, and they were like, "Yeah, I think we're gonna sell it." And so I kind of tried to set up that meeting. It was around a holiday earlier in the year, and that meeting never happened. Um, and then they just kind of ghosted me. And then I noticed that they had their home listed for rent. And I was like, oh, well, I guess they decided to rent. But I said, let me just call just to be sure, right? So I followed up with a call, and I was told, you know what? Yeah, we've got it listed for rent, but maybe we are going to sell. We're really not sure. And I said, well, why don't we just have a meeting, look at the comps, and kind of go from there. And this was going to be a phone meeting because they're not local. So myself and my partner and the seller, we had that meeting, and they were like, I'm going to be coming into town to inspect the rental. The tenants are moving out. I think we should definitely just kind of walk through and discuss the game plan and all that. I was like, great. So sent some paperwork this time. They requested the paperwork, actually. They wanted to look at it. So, and we all know it takes time to prepare that paperwork, but I did it, because you never know. And then a couple of days before we were supposed to meet, I confirmed, we're still on. Yep, we'll be there. I'll let you know. I'm thinking it's going to be such and such a date. The day before we were supposed to meet, find out that they actually rented it the week prior. So again, like, I understand your plans change, but if they change, they impact us. And this, I didn't have a lot of time invested. I mean, a few months, not like a couple of years like the other lead, but it's just like they go back and forth, and they are detached from us, and we have to be detached from them. And the seller was like, you know what, we'll check with you next year, and then maybe we can have you listed then. I was like, great, sounds good, move along. move on, move forward, and next. That's all you can do. And then the other story I wanted to share with you, and this is interesting. I remember meeting with a seller with my partner back in January or February of this year, and we were honest about the sales price. We were like, this is what we think the home can go for. This is the price. What you want, like they were like 40,000 above the market. We don't think that's going to happen. And of course, we did not get the listing. They listed it with another agent. It was on the market for, I want to say, at least 4 months. And I watched it, and they had one or two price reductions. Then it came off. Then it was listed for rent. And then it just got listed with a new agent at the price that my partner and I suggested that they listed at back in February. Again, they didn't want to hear what we had to say, but the market told them that, this is what the home is potentially going to sell for. And now they've got their head in that space. And for all we know, maybe the market's even lower now. I haven't pulled a comp on that neighborhood, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that you go into these meetings and you try to be honest, you share your truth, you share your market data as you interpret it, looking out for their best interests, advising them accordingly. And sometimes it's received, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you're passed over, sometimes they hire you. I mean, it's the wild, wild west. You just never know. And I think seasoned agents know this. And as a newer agent, if you're new to my channel, I was an ISA for a number of years, and I've just been selling now part-time for a little over 2 years. I'm really feeling this. Like it's, being on the phone is one thing, but then going into these situations, driving all over the place with leads that don't ultimately close. I mean, time is all we have, and time is money, and when you don't close, it hurts, right? But letting you know that you're not alone in this challenging thing we call chasing leads. But I figured sharing these stories might be of comfort to you. So anyway, just to kind of let you know, so far, all my business comes through the phone. The deals that I have done this year have been for sale by owners and split down the middle between for sale by owners and expires. I did get one referral from a for sale by owner that my partner and I service, but everything has been from the phone because I don't have a sphere. But I've decided to diversify my lead gen, and instead of pursuing people on the phone, or in addition to, I mean, I'm definitely calling still, definitely calling. In addition to doing that, I'm also working on my YouTube channel because I know a lot of successful agents here in my market that are doing YouTube. I dabbled with it in the last year or so, but I'm really trying to commit to it because you do get a lot of attention, and you don't have to have a lot of followers in order to be successful, to have somebody call you and ask you to help sell a house or to help them buy a house. I haven't converted anything yet. I only have like 11 followers on the channel as of the recording of this video, but I encourage you to look into YouTube as well. Start with house tours, any kind of information you can share about, buying and selling a house. Any resource that you can be to the public is going to benefit you. So that's what I'm concentrating on. But I am definitely not abandoning cold calling because that's what I'm trained to do. That's what I am passionate about. That's what I believe in. And that is what has been paying my bills up to now. So it was so good to record this video. I have missed making videos for you guys, and I'm going to really try to stay consistent to the end of the year and find the time to record here and there. I'm not going to be super formal and worry about graphics. I'm just going to talk to you because I think that way I'll have more time, and I won't try to be perfect. I'll just try to get it done. So see you guys on the next one.